Good.
Hello, I'm Chris Sterry. I'm a family carer who is proposing to talk about being a carer and how I deal with it. But before I get into that aspect, I feel I need to explain something more about who is a carer. And there are two aspects. There are paid carers and there are unpaid carers. Paid carers are normally obtained through some form of agency, or you can actually become an individual employer and employ your own carers, who would generally be called personal assistants or personal care assistants. But I'm concentrating on the unpaid area, and here I've found a good definition related to unpaid carers. This is from the Carers Trust website, and of course it says a carer is anyone who cares unpaid for a friend or family member who, due to illness, disability, a mental health problem or addiction, cannot cope without their support. To me, that is what I do for my own daughter and to some extent my wife. Being a family member, you don't necessarily decide you're going to be a carer, as you don't decide technically that you're going to be a parent, or in some aspect you do. And parent is another name for a carer. But of course it doesn't technically fit that definition unless your child fits any of those categories. So you can be a parent and also be a family carer. My daughter is an adult. She still lives with myself and my wife at home. And because of the disabilities of my daughter, whose main condition is cerebral palsy, she's also got a diagnosis of autism, but she's also got partial paralysis down the right side, is blind in one eye, can't weight bear, and she needs 24-hour care. Myself and my wife used to be able to provide this, but over the years my wife's health has seriously deteriorated due to chronic arthritis, certainly in shoulders, knees, hips, and spine. But she's also had 2 bouts of breast cancer in the same breast. She's currently on a 5-year program of chemotherapy tablets. So even without the arthritis, which is debilitating, she's also got the problem of the chemotherapy. She's also advancing in years. She is, when she's good, a sprightly, or fairly sprightly 78. I'm coming up to my 70th birthday next year, and I also suffer with arthritis, and my medication means that I can't fully focus on caring anymore. So since August 15, we've had a 24-hour package split between 2 care agencies, and I'm also an individual employer employing 2 personal assistants. my daughter requires double-handed care, except for a waking night, which is just one particular person. This package works exceedingly well for ourselves, but we also have the worrying factor, especially in the current climate of cuts. Will this package run as it is? And if it doesn't, then we will have many problems, because with my daughter's autistic tendencies, she would not be able to understand why she's not receiving the people coming in as she is currently. And that would then add to the problems we as family carers have.
Before you got the 24-hour care, what was it like for you and your wife? So what before the 24 hours, you had some support in the day, is that right? Yeah. But nothing past 3 o'clock?
Well, what we did in 2008, my wife decided that she needed help. I was working 5 days a week, so during the day I couldn't help her with the care, and she contacted our local council.
Okay, Chris, so we had a slight technical difficulty with the fire alarm test there, but we were talking about how you started the process of having carers coming into your home. So you'd talked about how now you have 24-hour support from paid carers, but you were talking about what happened before then, and you'd taken us back to 2008. You were working full-time, but your wife then had come to the point where she needed some help at home during the day with your daughter. So, yeah.
So she made that decision. She must have contacted the council. We went through the process, and we were eventually allowed to have 2 personal assistants with monies, direct payments from the council to pay for all the aspects of employing people. Mm-hmm. And on a Monday to Friday basis, the care started at 9 o'clock and finished at 3:30. So technically a 6.5-hour shift, but within that there was a half-hour break for lunch.
So what would happen after 3:30 then? 3:30,
my wife would commence caring, awaiting my return, 5:30, 6, depending on traffic I would get there. Mm-hmm. I think in those days she was still able to do cooking of meals, etc., because my daughter does expect a cooked meal at night, starting from scratch.
Right.
Meat, fresh veg, and boiled rice.
Right.
And if she doesn't get it, then the autism comes in, and we then have an almighty problem.
Right.
So it's better to provide what she's expecting rather than deal with the consequences.
Yes, yeah.
Sometime later, we decided we needed the help at the weekends. So again, we got monies to employ an agency to come in and do the 9 till 3:30 shift. Again, my daughter needs the 200 care. They'd also got their own vehicle, so they could actually take my daughter out on a Saturday and Sunday for lunch.
Right.
My daughter loves it. If weather intervenes and it can't occur, then we've got the autism difficulty again.
Yeah.
So again, if she lost that, she'd not only lose the social inclusion, but we would have the massive autism injection.
And so for you as a family, you would then be having to manage that.
We then, in August 15, we had an annual review of Katie, an assessment of needs. The social worker listened to both myself and my wife. Before that, of course, I'd gone down to 3 days working, and then because of my own depressions that I suffer with, I had to pack up at 62 because I just couldn't continue in a paid employment basis.
Right.
And it did work that I could do certain aspects of care, but of course I paced myself at home, and if necessary I could rest. But the social worker was good. She listened to everything and told us that she would put forward a recommendation that we get the 24/7 care, 3 shifts, 9 till 3:30 double-handed, 3:30 till 10 double-handed, and a 10 at night till 9 o'clock in the morning on a waking night basis, 7 days a week. Lo and behold, it was approved, and that's how we've been progressing since August 15.
So what were the nights like for you before this person came to do the waking nights? Would your daughter need support in the night?
She needs support during the night because she can't toilet herself. So how it was actually working was, I don't go to bed that early anyway because of my work, my own personal work on computers and blogging, etc. I would stay up till about 5 o'clock in the morning. At 5, I would go to bed, my wife would then get up, and then I would then have a couple of hours sleep, because we were expecting carers coming in at 9 o'clock. So being a ground floor flat, the privacy areas are few and far between, and I needed to get showered and dressed, etc. before they came in. And it worked like that. But then, as I've mentioned, the deterioration of health between myself and my wife meant that we had to go for we were granted the 24/7 care.
Yes. Yeah, because you were existing before then on very little sleep, weren't you? Okay. So but at the minute, this 24-hour care is working well, but as you said earlier, there's always this slight concern in your head about how long it could last for.
It's working well because we have one of the good care agencies, because I can work well with the management. The management know exactly what sort of staff we require, and they do their best to get the people that they feel we require. If it doesn't work, then we tell the agency and they adjust the people accordingly. They, of course, are also responsible for looking after any areas where a worker doesn't turn in for any particular reason. And also, because we've got a large package, they are also willing to cover the holiday and sickness of our own PAs as well.
Okay, so when you talk about your own PAs, they are people that you employ directly as a family, or are you the employer?
I'm the individual employer.
Okay.
So I have to deal with all the aspects of being an employer.
Yeah.
Without any of the normal employer support areas.
No. So this is something that's come in since sort of direct payments and personal budgets, that now you are the person who employs 2 members of staff at the weekend, is that right?
Not Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday. So that means you have to take care of timesheets, payroll, pensions.
Now we do employ a company to look after payroll and pensions. I've got a finance background, so finance and administration background, so dealing with the paperwork is no problem to myself. I also manage the direct payments that comes in, because the finance area, I spent 40 odd years being paid to do so. I'm now doing it on a technically voluntary basis.
Yes. And you must be one of many carers who are doing that at the moment.
I am. Not many would actually do the financial management. They would have to go to a managed account company, which also needs to be paid for.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a something that is brought in to increase choice, but for carers of people who aren't able to manage the employment side of things themselves, it can be an extra task for them, can't it, to be doing.
As a lot of my previous employment has been in a managerial basis, I'm used to dealing with staff both on a good basis and a bad basis.
Yeah, yes.
Hopefully the bad bases don't happen very often, but if any disciplinary matters do need to be attended to, then I've got my background. I should also add that we've got a very good, to be an individual employee, you have to have employer liability, like insurance, and not only do we have that in our package, we've gone for their full package, whereby it also incorporates 24/7 HR, and it also incorporates funding if any tribunals need to be taken.
Okay.
So the insurance is actually our HR department.
Okay. Okay. But something that is obviously for you, you've had some experience with this role. Someone who was coming very new to employment or management, or this could be a whole huge new set of skills.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned yourself earlier, didn't you? You're approaching 70. That could be the case for other carers, couldn't it? They're into older age and having to learn these new skills.
I mean, there are companies who will do the full package at cost.
Yeah.
Which you then need to get your local council to agree to. Or if you're in the privileged position of having sufficient funds yourself, you can do a self-funding package.
Okay.
But you need to have a fair amount of funds to do that.
Yes, I can imagine.
And we're not all millionaires.
No. No. We talked, so that's your kind of experience and the situation that you're in at the moment is 24-hour support for your daughter who gets the support. But we talked a little bit when you were introducing, and you were saying that not everyone recognises themselves as a carer or might be reluctant to think of themselves as a carer, but actually that definition that you shared is very broad. So I just wondered if you would mind telling us if there's any support that you get as a carer for being a carer, separate to the support that your daughter gets for her own needs.
Our local council, when you become an individual employer, does say there is support, but it's very few and far between, and you really need to look for it. I do get involved with our council and clinic commissioning group, so I do have an insight to part of the system, and if it doesn't work for me, which it doesn't always, my worry is what is happening to the other carers who don't know the system or don't know how to proceed and are fully reliant on the system, which in many cases isn't fit for purpose.
Okay, and what in particular do you feel is not fit for purpose?
Communication. Both the CCG and the council are not necessarily very good at communication. In fact, in many instances, it doesn't exist. You don't get until you ask, but then again, you don't know to ask unless you know what is available.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you're in a catch-22.
Yeah.
Social workers do the best, but they are under considerable restraints at the moment by the austerity cuts that are in place, certainly on social care, but to a large extent also on health.
Yeah.
And both those specific areas need sufficient funding.
Absolutely. Yes. So you feel that you've got some insights because of you attend a lot of meetings and you do some work in your role as a carer. Not paid work, is it voluntary? You voluntarily take part in things, but actually there's a lot of people out there who would not have that information, and nobody's giving them that information. So it's finding out something that you don't know, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm actively involved in Sheffield with the Carer Centre, and I would certainly recommend any carer to find out who and where their carers centre is, because there should be one within your vicinity. And they are there to help carers.
Yeah.
On many aspects. They will be the experts to put you possibly in the right areas, etc.
Yes.
But to provide guidance and support. Because of the cuts, I still do belong to a carer, a learning disability support group. And just over 2 years ago, the funding was cut for the support. I was asked by the group what I could do, and I now facilitate that group.
Okay.
It's a fairly well attended group. I endeavour to provide what information I come across. We meet once a month at the Carer Centre for 2 hours, although people can come for the full 2 hours or just for 5 minutes if they wish. And for the majority of the meeting, people just talk between themselves and gain support and provide support as and where it's required. It also introduces people to the Carer Centre as well. Yeah. And one of the staff uses her lunchtime to come into the meeting to help and provide more information.
Okay.
And if I've got people's email addresses, I also issue a newsletter at least once a month, incorporating all the information I obtained through the internet and from other sources.
Right.
So it's a point of communication.
Yeah.
And I've not only got carers on the distribution list, I've got some providers, some people from CCG, some people from the council, social services,
right,
service providers. In fact, if anybody ever wants it, then they can go on the list.
Yes, yeah. So you pull together the information that you find out from your own sort of research and own searching, and you share that with others.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, from what you're saying there, it relies very much, doesn't it, on somebody being willing and able to do that. The information doesn't seem to be coming out of any other sources. So,
I mean, luckily I've got the limited internet skills, and through WordPress I also create websites that people can look on. Currently I've got two. One is the name of the carers group, which is LD Carers Butty Group.wordpress.com. The other one is a specialised one for the respite service that my daughter attends. And I've also created email addresses ldcarersbuttygroup@gmail.com
Okay.
as a point of contact, and I've also got one carervoice@gmail.com. Those are the publicised email addresses I use for the general communication.
Okay. You talked about the local carers centre that's here in the city, and we were saying that there should be other resources for carers across the country. But I just wanted to have a quick chat about the Care Act that came into force in 2014. And the Care Act says that the rights of carers to an assessment should be the same as the person they care for. So therefore, anyone who's deemed to be a carer has the right to a carer's assessment. Is that something that you've had?
I have had carer's assessment. In fact, any carer is entitled to a carer's assessment. My wife is entitled to a carer's assessment, and I'm entitled to a carer's assessment. There's no compulsion to have one. I would recommend people to have one. It brings out areas that a carer might not have thought of, because the focus is on yourself, whereas the assessment of need is on the focus on the person requiring care because of their needs. There is an element of incorporating carers within that it's more of what can you do rather than what can we do for you.
Right. Yes.
We're lucky in Sheffield that the Carer Centre actually do the carers assessments. They've been doing them now going on 2 years.
Right.
I've not had one done by the Carer Centre, but the details are being passed over by the local council, so I will get a phone call any time now
to arrange that assessment.
I am actually also in a meeting that looks at how the Carer Centre is dealing with their responsibility on that as well.
Okay.
I'm the carer rep.
Right.
On that. So I meet currently at least once a month, meet the commissioners on the council, certain council officers, and also the representatives of the Carer Centre. And I'm there to throw in a carer's perspective.
Yeah.
To ensure that carers are receiving what they should be receiving, which does tend to then lead on to carers allowance.
Right.
Many people aren't aware of carers allowance, and a lot of people who are feel it's a payment to be a carer, which is not. It is purely a payment for you providing time and possibly having to reduce your working hours or actually stop working. So it is a kind of a benefit to supplement you doing that. You can find out all about carers allowance on the
gov.uk?
Yeah. It will then the requirements that you need to qualify. The main ones are you've got to provide 35 hours of care each week, which if you're a family carer, you will far exceed. There are restrictions on earned income, which I can't remember what they are at the moment, and I feel there may be an age qualification So you may have to be 21 or 25 to be able. The problem is that once you attain retirement age, which some people do, it is getting longer and longer these days, but once you do get and start drawing the government type pension, then you will no longer receive the carer's allowance, which a lot of people aren't aware of. You're still eligible for it, but you can't receive it.
Okay.
So you still have to sign up each year that you're eligible.
But there's no money.
No, because of course, hopefully your pension is over and above the income restriction, which is either £100 or £200 a week.
Okay.
Can't remember which one it is at the moment.
Right.
But even if it's not, you still can't have it.
Okay. Okay. So, although it's a restricted benefits payment, there could be people who are eligible who don't realise they're eligible.
And even though it's not much, I can't remember what it is at the moment. Some years ago I did work it out, and based on a 35-hour working week, it was earning about £1.30 an hour.
Okay.
Because it's gone up in time, I think it's somewhere in the £60 a week bracket at the moment.
Okay.
But £60 a week, possibly not as much as you wish, but it's something.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It's something you're entitled to. So.
Yeah. And either people aren't aware of it, they don't like filling in forms, and possibly a host of other reasons, but you are entitled to it, and if you're eligible for it, then I would recommend you go for it.
Lovely. That's great.